What the Sam Hill's going on here?
The Rewatch Podcast presents the Lois and Clark Rewatch, dedicated to the series Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman on ABC. Join us each week as we investigate the origins of the Man of Steel and uncover crime in Metropolis. Send your feedback to the Rewatch Podcast at gmail.com. Join us on Facebook at facebook.com/Rewatch Podcast or follow us on Twitter at RewatchPod.
Oh, hey! Let's get back to it.
And welcome back to the Rewatch Podcast and our Lois and Clark Rewatch. I'm Corey.
And I'm Deathstroke. No, not that. No, my costume's kind of like purplish lilac. No, I don't have any swords. I don't use guns either. No mask. I'm a different guy completely. Okay, yes, we're owned by the same company. Don't just forget it. Okay, it's a dumb name to pick. Dumb name. I'm sorry.
We'll talk about it.
Yes, we will.
Thank you, of course, everybody, for joining us. We're here to discuss 2 more episodes of Lois and Clark, and this week's headline reads, Walking Bob. I tried my best, people.
Walking Bob. That sounds like a movie. Some guy just gets a dog complex or something like that. His girlfriend has to take over his walking him every day and cleaning up after. I don't know. It could happen.
Well, it's the best I could come up with these 2 titles.
Yes, exactly.
This week's episodes are Dead, Lois Walking, and Bob and Carol, and Lois and Clark. There's a lot of ands in that sentence.
Yes.
But before we get into it, a quick follow-up.
Yeah, so I forgot to mention this. I was going to mention this last episode. I just slipped my mind. I forgot to put it down in the notes. But the lawyer that was defending Lois, did you know who that was?
No, I don't think we even really spoke about her at all. She was kind of just in and out and then disappeared.
Yeah, very minor character. That's Jasmine Guy, who I know her from, sitcom Tom, knows her from the spin-off of The Cosby Show called A Different World, where Bill Cosby's daughter, Denise, in The Cosby Show goes off to college, and one of her friends/enemies is this Jasmine Guy character who's very vain and rich, and they always, they got into hijinks together in the college. So that's where I know her from. Yeah, that's who she was.
Well, you learn something new every day. I didn't even know there was a spin-off from the Cosby Show.
Oh, yeah. It was not as good. It was definitely not as good. But, Cosby's not as good now as he used to be. I know. Does
that still hold up? Probably not.
Anyway.
So let's get into our first episode discussion. The episode is Dead, Lois Walking. Finally, we're getting to part 2 of last week's discussion. Written by Eugenie Ross Lemming and Brad Buckner, directed by Chris Long. And this originally aired on November 10th of 1996.
Look, what do you mean you're taking me out of here? I lay on that cot every single night, secretly wishing that that's just what you'll do, but you can't. Don't you understand what that would do to you?
The issue here isn't me, it's you. You are the person that I love more than anything in life. I'm not gonna watch my wife sit in jail, waiting to die for something she didn't do, no matter what happens to me.
But you spent your life serving justice.
Exactly. And you're innocent. Together we're gonna prove that. Now, if that isn't serving justice, I don't know what is.
You being irrational. I sort of love that.
Come on.
While Professor Cole reviews his plans for revenge on Lois, Superman, and his former boss, Professor Klein, who had him fired for selling weapons, Superman breaks Lois out of jail, and together they go on the run as Lois and Clark, hoping to investigate and discover the truth of the murder together. A statewide manhunt goes on for Lois while they take refuge in a small motel outside of the city and begin narrowing down the suspect list. Meanwhile, the woman who had videotaped the shooting begins to feel guilty and tries to record a confession tape in order to reveal Cole and exonerate Lois, but is murdered herself. Clark is able to use his supervision to see a reflection in the frame of the video of Cole and has Jimmy blow up the frame to give to police. Cole uses the hallucination machine to get Klein to mistakenly transfer the hybrid kryptonite into his own hands. Project K had been a project Cole had worked on as an attempt to weaponize kryptonite against not just Superman but normal humans as well, leaving buildings and infrastructure intact. With the deadly substance in his possession, he has Walcott grab Lois, who returned to the city with Clark to discover the missing bullet, which was in the DA's corrupt hands the whole time. Cole begins his final stage of revenge by revealing that he has been seeding the clouds for weeks to create a massive storm laced with the kryptonite, which will destroy all the people of Metropolis. Lois manages to get a jump on Cole, stopping him from shooting her, while Superman creates a whirlwind to stop the storm and then rushes to Lois's rescue, saving the day.
Ready, miss?
Thanks. Now, we weren't going to have anything at all.
Actually, I would like a chicken sandwich on a sourdough bun with a slice of Bermuda onion. And no mayonnaise. Some Dijon mustard on the side. And if you don't have sourdough, 7 grain will be fine. And I'd like some iced chamomile tea with the slice of lemon, no lime. And some boysenberry pie. Just a piece. Heat it to room temperature.
Sir?
Nothing, thank you. Honey.
What?
Well, I'm no expert, but I think that when you're on the lam, you forego the subtleties of cuisine in favor of staying low-key.
Clark, being in jail reminded me that every breath of free air should be savored as special.
Where are you going?
Forgot to ask for dill pickle. Excuse me, sir. Do you think I could get some...
I know who you are. Excuse me.
Well, obviously the jig is up.
Honey,
This is ridiculous.
Honey,
I'm turning
please,
myself
I'm trying to
in, 'cause I know
superhero
what
right
you're
now. When I'm
thinking.
superheroing,
doing
you're standing this
something
close and
crazy,
you're
like
talking
flying me out
to me.
of
It
here,
sounds like
and
you're
I am
sticking a
not going to
knife
tarnish
in my
yourself any
head.
more than you
Honey, so if
already
you
have,
could
so
just
that's
stop
just
for just
the
a
end of
second,
it.
please.
I'm sorry. I'll stop talking.
Unfortunately, so may.
Thanks.
I told him I hadn't seen anyone. I'm Lou. Like I said, I know who you are. See, everyday people like me, we worry about keeping our families safe and our businesses open. We have small lives. But you fight for us when we can't do it ourselves. I just want you to know we appreciate it. And I'm real sure you didn't kill anyone, Miss Lane.
Okay, so, as always, we've been kitted out with heaps of information, so let's investigate this one further.
So in the beginning, there's some different alternate dialogue with Clark and Perry. You know, in the aired version, he just sort of comes out and he's all, upset and mad. But in the script, he was supposed to talk to Clark and say, hey, Clark, I didn't testify against her. You got to believe me. I wouldn't harm a hair on Lois's head, and Clark's like, I believe you, Perry. It was a trick. We'll figure it out somehow, And this actually goes on to a little bit later when Clark and Perry have another scene together where he says, you know what? I want you to interview me, Clark. I want to tell how I never testified in that courtroom, how I would have told the world how Lois Lane never could have killed anyone. We'll run it on page 1. So they really tried to hammer it in the script there, about how he's feeling terrible about it. And just a little, I think we got that from his scene. It was really good. You got that he was down, terribly.
It makes an interesting point, though. He is the editor of, the biggest newspaper in the world.
Mm-hmm.
He should be able to get that message out there.
Yeah. I think we just kind of assume that it did get out there, after she was, set free. Now, in the hotel, when they go to the hotel and they're looking around at the room and everything, and Lois, of course, is not super impressed, but she mentions, that 10-watt light bulb, provides a certain atmosphere, doesn't it? And Clark's, says, not to mention the magic fingers vibrating bed, and then they do what they did in the aired version, So, we'll talk about that too. I have some things to say. Lois panicking when the restaurant owner goes out, the diner owner goes out to talk to the police. That wasn't scripted. Instead, Clark was supposed to say, I'm going to fly you out of here. And she says, no, you can't do that. He goes, yes, I can. She goes, no, you can't. So they had this little, small interaction. I think it was better the way they aired it, but for whatever reason, the original script was a lot subtle, or more subtle. There we go, more subtle. Lois has a blonde wig in the script. Not a big deal, but yeah, she went blonde. I don't know. Blondes have more fun, whatever. And then finally, Lou, the diner owner, for some reason, I don't understand why this was in the script. It's a very weird scene. Lou, the diner owner, packs them a picnic lunch or something. He gives them a bunch of food in a basket, and Lois and Clark start walking away from the diner. And they're walking down the street. Or not down the street. It's I guess it's like a country road or something that has like a fork in the road or something. They're going, and they notice that there's still a police car behind them. And so they duck off into the bushes, and Lou has come out to watch, and he sees the police car going after him, and he gets all worried. And I guess after the police car follows them, Lou's like, oh, well, I did my best. And he turns around, he goes back to his diner. But when he gets back to his diner, there's a big whooshing sound, and then Lois and Clark are standing in the diner, like he used super speed to get him back there and away from the cops, so the cops couldn't find them. And he's looking shocked, and Lois says, well, you did say to come back again, right? Are we early? So there you go. I don't know why. It's weird. It's a weird little scene. I don't know if it's supposed to be funny, I guess, with this, this line at the end. It's a weird little scene that he wrote. I don't know. I don't get it.
No, bizarre. It's probably good that they cut it out.
Yeah.
Superman! Dr. Klein, I need to see you.
You just saw me.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Where did I see you?
You know.
No, I don't.
You don't know.
I have no idea.
You and I didn't just go on a secret government mission.
No.
We didn't remove the hybrid kryptonite.
No.
We didn't take it to safekeeping.
No.
Superman, forgive me, but you are losing it, my boy.
Dr. Klein, what is hybrid kryptonite?
The most dangerous substance in the world. It was the government's idea.
And you just took it somewhere?
To a drop-off point so special agents could place it in safekeeping. Oh, God. If you didn't tell me to, who did?
A hallucination.
But that's completely unauthorized.
Yes, it is. And I have a feeling that right now that hybrid kryptonite is in the hands of Jefferson Cole.
Oh, I hope not. He's insane. I'd like a cocktail now.
Dr. Klein, I need you to tell me where this drop-off point is. I'll try and find that stuff, but is it deadly to me, too?
It can pretty much destroy anyone without harming property, so it's environmentally friendly.
While I'm gone, I want you to microanalyze this bullet casing. I think that Cole rigged it to fire so he could frame Lois Lane.
No calls. What? No, I haven't. No. Oh, no. Apparently, there was just a news bulletin. Anonymous sources say most of Metropolis will die in exactly 15 minutes due to exposure to a deadly substance. Survivors, if any, can thank Superman and Dr. Bernard Klein for their misery.
All right, well, let's get into the main story and the lead, Lois on the Lam.
Not like a lamb, like, Bob Black Sheep, but that's in the different section of the video store. You got to go behind the curtain to get that.
That's just wrong.
Yes.
All right, so picking up where we left off, all the headlines are about Lois going to jail, death penalty. Perry's all somber about what's happened. Death penalty?
Yeah.
They've got the death penalty in Metropolis? What state is Metropolis in? Is it supposed to be Illinois?
I don't know where it's supposed to be. They never really specify. Even in the comics, I'm not sure, because it's a made-up place, In our world, Metropolis is in Illinois, but it's not a city. It's a small town.
Right.
They never specify where Gotham City is supposed to be either in
Right.
the comics, really, like what state. So I don't know where I don't think we can pick a state and say where Metropolis is.
But wherever it is, they have the death penalty.
Yes, they do.
So that's full on. Like, just kind of, I don't know, it threw me off. I think maybe it's because we don't have the death penalty in Australia at all.
Right.
So every time I just see it, I'm just like, oh, geez, that's harsh.
Yeah. And it's very quick, too. It seems like they're going to be doing it, like, within the, like within the day. All right, sentence, dead.
I know, like, people sit on death row for, like, decades sometimes.
Yeah.
They can run through appeal after appeal after appeal until it's exhausted. And then they get put to death.
Exactly.
So, yeah, they're cheating a little bit here.
A little bit.
But we go where we were saying last week, where we kind of wanted him to go. Superman gets her out of there.
Yep.
Thank God.
Yes, he does. Now, here's the thing, though. What I don't get is why he had to get her out of there. I understand why for the sake of the story, but truthfully, they didn't do too much when they got her out of there. They went to a motel seemingly outside of Metropolis, it seemed like, and they look at some names on a list, and then later on they come back to Metropolis to do more investigation, and Lois gets some phone records, but none of this, like, is stuff that Clark couldn't have done on his own, or could have brought to her jail cell, the list, and talked to her there. Like, none of this involved... It could have been done without breaking the law, is what I'm saying.
But the thing is, they need Lois to do something rather than just sit in a jail cell for the whole episode.
Well, of course. But I'm saying, realistically, that's one of the problems I had with this episode. And I know we're talking realistically about a man who flies and shoots beam from the sky, but I'm saying, anyway, go on.
And it's like we said, she's gonna hit death row tomorrow. Like,
exactly.
So she's gotta get out of there. We're on the lam. Yes. Let's go. So, yeah, I mean, would you want it any other way if she just spent the whole episode sitting there? I mean,
seriously. See, what it could have been a very Clark-centric episode, showing his investigative skills.
Perry could have got in on it.
Exactly.
Because he's so down
in on it. And, looked up old sources of his that he had, and, in an attempt not just to exonerate Lois, but to, exonerate himself for what happened, That would have been a neat thing to see the grizzled veteran reporter with, young Clark, not doing something cheesy we had, what was it, Sore Throat back in season 1 or something, his source, but like a real serious look at this, I think that would have been neat.
But, well, it is what it is.
It is, yeah.
We do get back, of course, to Cole and Walcott.
Yes.
And we were talking about, hopefully we're going to find out their motivations.
Right away. He spells it out for us right away.
Well, yeah, it's just the same old thing.
Yes.
Lois and Clark put me in jail, so F them. My evil plan has come together.
The Dr. Klein angle was something I didn't expect, but yeah, was everything else was basically, figured that.
And that's his next target. He's done part A of the plan, and now it's to go after his former boss, Klein, who had fired him from Star Labs because he was selling weapons to the enemy nation. And for some reason, he thinks this wasn't a bad thing. He should not have done it.
Right.
He sends in that hallucination of that guy. What was his name? Baines.
Right.
So it's Baines, but it's Cole behind the whole thing. And he says people with intellect should be exempt from your problems like that. We should have the right to be able to kill thousands of people if we want to, or sell weapons to the enemy. This guy is just freaking nuts.
Yeah, definitely.
Why was he released from jail at all?
I know.
I mean, it's treason, right? That's a very lengthy jail sentence.
Definitely treason. Did he escape, or was he released? I don't remember now.
I think he said he was just released. He was in there and he was planning his vengeance for ages, and then he just got released, and now he's enacting his plan.
So it was just a little treason then, maybe. A tiny treason. It wasn't a big treason. He was selling it to a small, non-existent country that exists only in Lois and Clark. So it wasn't a big deal. Because we're never going to hear from that country again, so it's okay. He could let him out.
And he's not only going to take his vengeance out on Lois Clark Klein, but he wants to, murder Metropolis. Just friggin' murder everybody. So we get into this whole plot about Hybrid K.
Yes.
Is this, canon, or is this something new for the show?
They have synthetic kryptonite in the comics, I know, that they've come up with. And I don't remember the exact storylines or whatnot. I know Luthor was behind it, trying to come up with a synthetic kryptonite to take down Superman. But it was never something that seemed to harm humans, I don't think. So I know that synthetic is not as strong as the real thing in the comics, as far as I know. So it's related to the comics somehow.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get back to the hybrid K later.
Yes.
In the meantime, Lois and Clark, like we said, on the lam. So they're at the cozy motel, just hiding out. And then later they go to Lou's diner. You know, considering it's, you know, just like them trying to lay low for about 5 minutes of the episode. It's maybe being out of it, maybe 10 minutes of the episode.
Yes.
I thought it was still an okay sequence, you know, just the ratty hotel and then Lois, you know, making that wacky order over at the diner in the middle of nowhere. I kind of like the sequence. I thought it was a bit of fun.
It's not bad. I had this down for the bylines, but let me say here, Lois is a seasoned reporter. She's really good at going undercover, right? We saw that in the pilot episode when she comes in. You know, she was looking like a man or whatever with her disguise and everything. You know, like this is her normal. This is her normal. She can do this type of thing, go undercover and appear to be someone else. And like for her disguise here, she gets like the biggest floppiest hat you could ever get. Like that people always use as a disguise. Like it just calls attention to yourself. You know, it's like, this is not the Lois that we know from season 1. Like this is not undercover Lois. And then with that order she did, yes, it was funny. It was very, very funny. But again, like the character of Lois, if she was really on the lam, running from police because she's going to be killed, you know, executed, I don't think she would be so particular about the type of bread and the temperature of the water. And for me, like, I don't know why this episode just brought out the nitpicker in me, you know? And I'm like, Lois would not act like this if she was really on the run. So it kind of annoyed me.
Well, she does have that drop line of like, she's been in prison for a while, so she kind of wants a good meal. So
I suppose, but it really it's only been like a week, right? It hasn't been that long.
It's hard to tell.
I just think that it's not as true to the characters as it should be. Like it made for a funny moment, it made for some comedy there. I just don't think we needed it. You know, like I think the episode tried to insert comedy a couple times where it just didn't seem appropriate. And the same thing happens like when they check into that hotel. Not just comedy, they tried to insert romance into places where it just didn't fit. They're on the run for Lois's life, okay? And they stop off at this motel and presumably they're going to do the dirty there.
They totally do.
Yeah. And it's like, you know, I get it because so many of the fans want that romance part of it, but sometimes that should take a back seat to the story, you know, because I'll tell you, if I was on the run with my fiance and, you know, we're in danger of getting, you know, her getting arrested and taken back to jail and to be put to death, and I'm going to be arrested for aiding and abetting, I'm not going to be in the mood for a little something, you know, while we're on the run. Unless maybe Lois has that fetish. I don't know. I'm just saying, it took me out a little bit, that whole sequence.
Maybe this is just what gets them going, you know?
Maybe. I guess.
You know, all this action going on, so why not get some action with your action?
I mean, there's places they could have put romance, and they did at the end. Nice. You know, put a little romance there at the end. But like in the middle of this hardcore, you know, we got to get out of here, they're going to find us, and, you know, it felt out of place to me. I'm like, well, I understand you need to get romance in there, but now's not the time, you know? I'm talking to the writers specifically. I'm just saying. Could have been a different place for that.
They wrap up a couple of the side characters after this as well.
Oh,
Pretty much the DA, like we said last week, he was like a nothing character. He really does nothing here. I think Clark lifts that bullet casing from him, and then later he's looking for it, and that's about it. Yeah. I think he gets disbarred by the end. There's just a headline. So he's gone. And we also wrap up Sheila.
Yes.
Who was totally in on it.
Yep.
I speculated about it last week, but she was definitely in on it. Mm-hmm. And she's going to clear her conscience, but Cole shows up and shoots her. And I love the whole thing with, I mean, Clark has that enhanced vision that he does, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
But the TV's only got a certain amount of pixels. So, I mean, the enhanced shouldn't work, but he gets a clear image of Cole. And
Yes.
Then has Jimmy, go and clean it up. There's people at the lab who can clean this up, Jimmy. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Right.
A little unrealistic, but whatever.
But that's all those cop shows have. Enhance that area. Like they zoom in on like a pixel, like, oh, it's a license plate. Enhance.
And then, of course, it's the whole big wrap up. They go undercover, Lois in disguise. I also love that, like, they get a picture of the woman who's with Clark. Yeah. And Cole's just like, well, we'll change the hair, we'll remove the sunglasses. Oh, that's Lois.
Yeah. She looked like the hair they gave her, though. Like when he was putting the hair on her, it looked like a weird hairdo. It was just strange. It looked like Grandma Lois or something, the way her hair was styled in that Photoshop program he's using. I don't know. It was just odd to me.
And then we come back around to the big ploy with the hybrid K. So He's got his hands on the hybrid K. He's tricked Klein into giving it to him. He has seeded rain clouds with the hybrid K.
Yes.
And it starts pouring down on everybody and does nothing to anybody. Nobody dies.
Well, it seems to hurt some of the normal humans. They were screaming and like wiping their eyes, a couple of them I've noticed. So it seemed to affect the humans a little bit. But after he cleaned it all up, everything seemed fine. So I don't know. Maybe it was like a temporary thing. I don't know. But I did notice that a lot of them were acting like they were hurt by it. So if they were hit by the green stuff, it sort of affected them a little bit.
All I'm saying is that when the episode ended, I gave like a double take and went, wait a minute, what did the hybrid K do? It didn't do anything to anybody.
Yeah, it did. I think if it kept going, the idea was that people, I was thinking of it as like acid, the way it was dropping like this, like, this plop, this sound that it made. I was thinking it was probably like acid and was hurting the humans that it hit, but why didn't it affect Superman?
Exactly. Unexplained.
They don't explain that, So yeah, like I said, I saw it did affect some people, but minor injuries, I'm assuming. And here's the thing that I was trying to figure out, because he just got the hybrid K that day, presumably, right?
Right.
Not much time happens between the time Lois, gets kidnapped and the thing starts. Cole has a line where he says to Lois, "I've been seeding the clouds for weeks, Lois." And I'm like, but you just got the hybrid K. How have you been seeding it with hybrid K for weeks if you just got the hybrid K?
Maybe that's why it didn't work.
Maybe.
Because he was seeding clouds for weeks with just rain. And
right.
then just whack some hybrid K in there, and all of a sudden it's like pouring down on people. And it's like, oh.
Maybe that's why, yeah.
Crap, it's not even working.
I know, because I was like, how? And I don't know. It's just odd, and whatever.
And it doesn't even rain down on it. Like, there's rain, but then there's just splotches of hybrid K going.
Right,
splat.
exactly.
It's a plan that just doesn't make sense and was left unexplained. So
exactly,
there we go. It just didn't work. Mm-hmm. You've got egg on your face.
You've got hybrid K on your face.
And then it's just wrapped up. I mean, they're in the bell tower. That was kind of a cool hideout, I guess.
It was, yeah.
Yeah, but of course Lois can attract Superman there by setting all the bells off. So
right.
Klein gives testimony. Everything's cleared up. Lois is free. The day is saved.
Yes.
So, it was reasonable wrap up, I guess. Some good parts throughout it, but I'm kind of so-so on this one. Yeah,
it was not like... There's been some good two-parters that they've had. This is not one of them. I preferred... again, this is, controversial, but I liked the two-parters of the Clone Arc more than I liked this two-parter here. This just... like we said last episode, let's reserve judgment until we see the finale, like the conclusion, what we think of the episode. I just did not like it. I was like, it just irritated me, I was just like, no, don't like this one. If I ever had to rewatch, just for fun, this is not the episodes I would pick.
I can agree with that. Did put a few points in the bylines. Superman opening the jail cell.
Yeah. How did he do it?
Was that a psychic thing? Because, I don't know.
Well, he put his hand in front of it and he moved his pinky, like right there in front of the hole. So maybe he stuck his pinky into I was thinking he stuck his pinky in there and like popped it or something, popped the bolt inside, something like that. I don't know why they couldn't have shown us, like, just dropping a little bolt to the ground right after that, because that would have made it clear what he did. But I'm assuming that's what he did. Just used his finger and just popped it.
Yeah, and later the DA kind of speculates that Superman may have been involved. So that's why I think they did it. They were like, well, if the bars were just pried open and Lois was gone, they'd be like, Superman broke her out of prison. Hey, what's up, Superman?
Exactly.
But
right.
Instead they're like, maybe Superman helped her. We don't know.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah, that's right. He did just sort of wave his hand in front of the lock and it just opened.
Right.
So, yeah, again, something that's not really explained how he did that.
Right.
Whatever. What about that long-ass list of people who hate Lois? And that was just the scientists amongst the people?
Yeah, in the script, I didn't mention it, but in the script, it was just specified it was a list. It didn't specify that it was supposed to be that long. So they took some liberty when getting the props together for that scene.
Just a bit slapsticky, really. Didn't really ring true.
Right.
I don't know if you noticed, but when they send in that Baines hallucination to trick Klein, Walcott reviews it back on tape.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, he got the hallucination on tape? We talked about this last week. Why isn't it just a hologram?
Exactly. See, why? That's another thing that annoyed me, Forgot all about that. But why even have it as a hallucination? Just say hologram, It makes more sense. It's understandable. And then you don't have this plot hole of like, oh, he caught a hallucination on tape. Because it doesn't make sense at all.
Exactly.
All right, so now here's something I was wondering. They go back into the city. Clark does his thing. Lois goes and manages to get phone records while she's disguised as no one. She doesn't have an alternate identity. She doesn't have like fake IDs or whatever. She just goes into the building and somehow manages to get phone records. I mean, maybe she said something to distract the clerk and then snuck around. I'm assuming. It just seemed, I was like, well, that's a little sketchy. Clark would probably have a better, chance of getting phone records because he's not being, executed for murder. So I thought that was a bit odd, just convenient.
Mm-hmm.
The best thing, though, that I loved, I thought this was great. Dr. Klein's on the phone with, I think it was Clark. He goes to drink from one of the beakers, and then he stops, looks at it, and he puts it down, and then he grabs another beaker, and he drinks it.
He was pretty good this episode,
Yeah.
Talking about how he's been promoted to like upper management and stuff, and he just doesn't like it.
Exactly. It was good.
I don't want to be project head, and I've been promoted to manager. I hate it.
He was good. I just like that whole beaker thing. I laughed. I was like, that's great.
Yeah, it's a character that's really sort of just gone up and up on that humor level, and I like it. I like that they've taken it to that level. All right, well, let's get into this week's quote vote.
What's everybody standing around for? This is a newspaper, not happy hour at Buckingham Palace. What are we here, the Daily Planet? Or second stringers from the Weehawken Gazette? Am I making myself perfectly clear?
All right, so we're slowly climbing back up from last week's no votes to this week's one vote.
All right.
So we have a winner. Cue the music.
Hick follows as Vincent Price and Sean Connery are led away by police.
Do you know what it's like seeing your husband go through a thing like that?
Yeah, I have a pretty good idea. Bobcat Goldthwait stumbles in.
Hi! The police told me where I could find you.
How are you?
Let's just say I've had better days. Haven't we all? I just want to say that I wish...
I think what Vincent's trying to say is that we're sorry about the way it turned out. You mean sorry you got caught?
No.
Well, yes.
Okay, yes. But sorry about the circumstances, too. If Sean hadn't been in an industrial accident, if his body weren't a ball of horrific power, if we weren't scientists turned paupers, turned international assassins, if we weren't consumed by bitterness and rage, we might have been friends.
That's a lot of ifs.
Yeah, I didn't really like your taste in books that much either. Bye, Vincent.
Sean. Hick.
Bobcat. Yay.
Yay. And see.
That was good.
That was a tough one.
Yeah.
There's like so many back and forths. I was like, wait, which voice?
Stretching our impersonation chops there.
Yes.
But a good one. I like that one.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's get into our second episode discussion. And the episode is Bob and Carol and Lois and Clark. Written by Brian Nelson. Directed by Oz Scott. And I think these are 2 newcomers to the show.
I was going to say, that looks like a new name. I've not seen it.
And this originally aired on November 17th of 1996.
I mean, if you really listen to it, it's just kind of a weird song.
I know. I mean, we like it, but I think...
I'm sorry, a fly in your Chardonnay is not ironic.
Making $30 million on a song called Ironic that isn't even about irony. That's ironic.
Oh, Lois.
Oh, I don't normally have to keep one of these inside at all times.
Are you expecting an important call?
Well, I'm trying to land this interview with Grant Gendell, and I'm waiting to hear. I'm sorry.
Are you kidding? If I was expecting a call from the richest man on the Eastern Seaboard, I'd be checking my phone, too.
Well, actually, it's his lawyer.
How'd you ever score an interview with Grant Gendell? I mean, no one's even seen the guy,
23 years.
23 years.
But I don't have the interview. I just have a shot at it.
Lois wrote an article a couple of years ago defending Gendell when he was hit with his 2000th lawsuit.
Oh, a rich guy like that'd be a target for every wacko with a lawyer.
Well, I think that's what drove him into hiding in the first place. But now he wants to come out, re-emerge to the world. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Let's talk dessert.
Then let's talk chocolate.
My thought exactly.
Settling into married life, Lois and Clark have begun to explore the world of double dating with help from Perry and his most recent paramour, Jimmy, and his sewer rave-loving date of the week, and a new couple that Clark met, Bob and Carol. While it seems that things are going swimmingly while Bob and Carol and the group is on the fast track to becoming besties all set for a romantic comedy spin-off show of their own, it turns out that Bob and Carol plan to meet Lois and Clark, researching their likes and dislikes so they could get close to them. Their ultimate goal? To use Bob's secret magnetic superpowers to assassinate a reclusive millionaire named Gandel that Lois has a chance of interviewing. It turns out that Bob's powers came to him while he worked for Gandel when an accident exposed him to the powers. Carol developed a suit that would contain the powers so that he could live a normal life, but after having lost an attempt to collect a settlement, Bob adopted the supervillain persona of Deathstroke and the two vowed revenge. At another double date at their new friend's home, Lois witnesses Bob coming out of what looks like a secret compartment in their apartment, but Clark is quick to dismiss it, saying that they need to be more trusting if they're going to make good friends with people. Meanwhile, as he's investigating mysterious deaths around the city, Clark sees a friend of his from the NIA fighting with Deathstroke and intervenes as Superman, just barely holding him back before he escapes. Dr. Klein informs him that due to the way Deathstroke's powers seem to work, unless Superman's blood has a chance to repair themselves, another attack by Deathstroke could be fatal. Lois heads off to interview with Gandel, while Clark receives information linking Bob and Carol to Deathstroke, and he heads off to the location of Lois' interview, only to find Deathstroke already there. A battle ensues, during which Deathstroke's uniform is ripped, and unable to contain his power anymore, he is super magnetically secured to the wall, waiting for collection by the police.
I'd like to see the body, please.
No access.
Let him through, guys. Hey, Ken.
Pete, what's the NIA doing here?
Mysterious deaths in healthy individuals, leaving these marks around the heart.
Have I stumbled onto something big here?
Maybe.
I was thinking it might be some kind of new virus.
What I'm about to tell you is off the record, for now.
Okay.
Normally, we could handle this ourselves, but, you see anybody standing next to me?
No.
That's because there isn't anybody. They fired my partner. They fired everybody's partner. Took away my car with all the cool stuff in it. And the ejection seat, you know? A real one.
Yeah, I'm real sorry about that, Pete.
Budget cuts. Anyway, there's been a series of deaths in town, all with striking similarities. We think they're the work of an assassin codenamed Deathstroke. He always leaves these marks and signs of an apparent heart attack. He's said to be a male, possibly wears some sort of jumpsuit, possibly works with a female accomplice. Settles down in a big city and makes a home before the kill. Word is his next mission's not for money, it's for revenge.
Well, if he's known to settle and create a base, then you should...
I already made a list of all new residents. But with no partner, my staff laid off, and my cool car... Anyway, if you dig up something, you let me know. I'll do the same, and,
I'll tell Superman to keep an eye peeled.
Thanks, kid.
Okay, so we've been hooked up with a little bit of information on this one. Let's investigate.
So Deathstroke's name in the script was actually supposed to be Death Grip. For whatever reason, they decided to change it to Deathstroke.
They probably had Death Grip, and they were like, but we have the rights to Deathstroke, so let's go with that.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about that when we get in there. The Bills comment at the end where he says, I have to like him, I own him. That wasn't in the script originally, but it was probably a reference to Dean Cain's to Dean Cain's career, because he actually had a contract with them when he blew out his knee or whatever.
Oh.
Couldn't continue. So, yeah, that's probably a little reference to that.
There you go.
Clark, there's a secret compartment behind this. Come x-ray it, see what's inside.
What? What?
We may have to kill them both tonight.
I saw through the front window. Bob was putting something away in there. Come on, quick, before they come back.
Why?
Because it's a secret compartment.
I don't go around x-raying everyone's secret compartments.
How many people do we know that actually have secret compartments? Good people, I mean.
Honey, we don't know that many people, and we won't if we go around x-raying everyone.
Carol.
I'm telling you, they know. I saw the look in her eyes when she was staring at those books.
Maybe she doesn't like your taste in books.
They're her books, too. They're my books, too. That's when it hit me. She likes the same books as me, the same foods as me. And why are they always so eager to see us again? Nobody is that eager to see us again.
That's why you're suspicious, honey? Because someone likes us?
And when did they start liking us? When I started talking to Grant Gendell. And what do all the murder victims have in common? A link to Grant Gendell.
Hors d'oeuvres?
Carol!
All right, so getting into the main story, in the lead here, Deathstroke's Death Grip.
See that? I worked in the deleted name.
Love it. Okay, so Lois and Clark are looking for couples to go and have couples evenings with. I myself am single, so I do not look for couples to have couples evenings with.
That's a normal thing to do, you know, because no one likes being the third wheel, you know. So it's normal to try to find like a couple that you can actually, you know, get along with and enjoy, because it's not like Lois was saying, you know, it's a hard thing. The guy likes the guy, but then the girl doesn't like the girl doesn't like the guy. It's you know, there's a lot of variables that go into trying to find a good couple friend.
And they think they've found that friend, or those friends, I should say, in Bob and Carol Stanford. So, newcomers to the show. Do we know these people from anything?
Well, Bob is Antonio Sabato Jr.
Oh, that name sounds very familiar, actually.
Yeah, and like he's been in a bunch of stuff, but it's never like, I've never known it to be like stuff that's like real like A-lister, you know, like it's kind of like, he's not exactly a B-movie guy, but it's like he's maybe like a poor man's Tom Cruise type star. You know, like, if you can't get Tom Cruise, then, well, we got this guy. We can get him, you know. We'll get him. Why not? Okay, yeah, he looks good. He's handsome, you know. He's cut, you know. Let's get him in there. So it's that type of thing. Like, I remember when I was growing up, I would see his name at the video store on different movies and things like that. And it was never something that like was like a huge like blockbuster hit that was like, yeah, you got to see that new Antonio Sabato Jr. movie. You know, it's just like, oh, well, that looks kind of interesting. Well, but this, you know, we've got Annie the musical over here. Let's get that instead. You know, it's one of those things. I don't know.
Nice.
I mean, I'm not trying to put him down. He's had a good career. He's still doing stuff, you know, and he's had parts, you know, throughout all the years. It's just he's not one of those guys that you know, it's like I said, like Tom Cruise, you know, one of those big blockbuster names where you know you're gonna make money on the movie if he's in it.
But what they go for here is that Bob and Carol are pretty much just Lois and Clark.
Right.
Like, they really just try to make it seem like these couples are so in sync with each other. Bob wears the glasses. Lois is, like, nervous about, you know, making a new friend, but the two of them seem to have a lot of interests. So, you know, that's supposed to be the whole thing here. Bob and Carol are Lois and Clark, and they're going to be perfect to hang out with. Exactly. Down to the fact that they walk away. Superman is needed. But Bob is also ripping off his clothes to reveal a suit underneath. And, it's quickly apparent that they are the alternate Lois and Clark, whereas Clark is a hero, Bob is the villain.
It's like the mirror universe, Lois and Clark. You know, they're like the evil Lois and Clark. All he needs is a goatee, you know? So, like, eventually you'll find out that his name is Deathstroke, okay? But this outfit that he's wearing, the color was, like, odd. An odd
It was just, like, gray and it had, like, the atom symbol or something on the front.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, when he took it off, maybe I was watching it on my iPad, and like to me, yeah, it was grayish, but there was like a purplish tint that I saw to it, and it reminded me so much of, there's a comic book called Legion of Superheroes that takes place in like the 30th century. I think it's the 30th century. Something, or maybe is it 300th century? I don't know. It's in the far, far future. And it's a group of teenage superheroes that were inspired by Superboy himself. So they, in the far, far future, they created this team called Legion of Superheroes, and it's like a large, like there's 30 or 40 people in this group, in this legion, you know, and they are all teenagers. You have to be a teenager to be in the group, and they have like a little clubhouse, and they fight crime and everything. But the leader, Cosmic Boy, his outfit, his costume was always black and light purple, and that's what it reminded me when I saw it. I was like, that looks like Cosmic Boy from Legion of Superheroes. And you know, after we got into it, I'm like, oh no, he's not going to be Cosmic Boy. That's not where they're going. But that's what the costume reminded me of.
And we should throw it out there right now that this is not Deathstroke, as you would know him from the comics or any other incarnation, really.
I know, and it was disappointing because when I think I read on the Superman homepage, this episode is the last one they have a review for some reason. They never finished off the season. I don't know if they got too sad and said, oh, we can't handle this anymore. But this is the last one, and there was the last episode I read at the bottom, they said, you know, stay tuned next week when we talk about Bob and Carol and Lois and Clark, where Deathstroke makes an appearance. And I was like, really? I don't remember that. Like, I couldn't remember that. I didn't remember the storyline at all. And then when I saw who Deathstroke was, I was like, oh, now I remember. And I was disappointed. I was like, yeah, I thought it was going to be like the real Deathstroke. But no, this is a different Deathstroke.
They did Deathstroke in Arrow, right?
Yeah, they did. And he was done really, really well.
So good.
And he's going to be he's supposed to be in the new Batman movie that they're still writing as well.
Ooh.
And he looks good in that too. They had some test footage and that looked good as well. But yeah, I understand why they went with Deathstroke, since they probably had the rights to the name. Why not use it? And also I get that the powers that he's using, you know, maybe he's causing them to have a stroke of the heart, and that's why they die. I get that, but I wish they had stuck with Death Grip, you know, like just go with Death Grip. Don't sully the name of this great character in DC Comics. It's like, come on.
They get into it. He had some sort of industrial accident on the job, and it caused him to have these massive magnetic powers or something.
Mm-hmm.
And his wife, Carol, built the suit to contain those abilities. And that's kind of his thing. And then he's going around attacking people, trying to get to this rich guy who owned the company where he had the accident, Greg Gandell, who Lois is just happening to have possibly have an interview with.
Don't you feel like after a little while, I know they're villains, but I started to feel bad for them because it's revealed that they sued to get damages for the accident.
Yeah, and got nothing.
And they got nothing, which I was like, well, you know what? I could understand why they would get so mad at that, because they have this accident on the job that changed his body, you know, completely, and they say, no, we're not paying. It's like, really? Wow. That's pretty harsh there, Gandalf.
And he's like a recluse. Yeah.
Yes.
Rich recluse who can, like, nobody ever sees him. And Lois is having to jump through all these hoops anyway just to get the interview with him. Because he actually does want to come back out into the world.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of the give me for the episode. The reason why they've been looking around for Gandalf for so long. Because they just haven't been able to pin him down. So they've been killing people who have, you know, worked for the company and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And immediately he kills this guy, this doctor. And if you look behind him on the thing, because he's going to his car. It says on the thing, it says reserved parking for Dr. Kobayashi.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, is that a Star Trek reference, do you think? Kobayashi Maru?
I would say so. I didn't pick it up, but yeah, I would say so.
But yeah, so that's their whole thing, is they're trying to get to Gandel through Lois and Clark, because they did find out that Lois is going after this interview. So that's why they're there. The reason they have so much in common is because Bob and Carol have looked into Lois and Clark. Yep. They know what they like, they're playing ball, and she's offering up brownie recipes. Lois doesn't even cook, but she seems excited by that for whatever reason.
Right.
And they really hit it off. But, I think that's the whole thing about it, is that they're supposed to be hitting it off. Lois starts to become suspicious, and Clark's like, no. This is like the first decent couple we've managed to meet and be able to do stuff with. So we're not going to look into them. They're our friends.
But I mean, if I was Clark and Lois says to me, I just saw him come out of a secret compartment. It's like, really? I would check it out. I wouldn't be like, well, we don't want to X-ray them. We want to be friends. Like, well, a secret compartment is sketchy. Yeah.
And do I need to point out that it is yet another villain with a secret compartment hidden in their own residence?
Yeah, apparently that secret compartments are available all over the place in Metropolis, I guess.
Oh, man. I loved it. I laughed out loud when I saw it. I'm like, I knew it. Every bad guy has got to have one now.
Exactly.
So Clark's actually looking into all these strange deaths as well. And he meets up with an NIA agent, Pete. This guy kind of cracked me up a bit.
Yeah.
Do you see anybody standing next to me? They fired my partner. They fired everyone's partner.
Yeah.
They took away my cool car.
Like, where was that? Like, that didn't really play into anything. It's just...
I know. He gets killed later as well. So
yeah.
Superman's just like, he was such a good guy. Oh, well.
I know. It's such a weird thing to say. That's so weird. Like, it would have been better if he had not said anything and just showed remorse, But he's like, he was such a good guy. Darn, he died, It's, I don't know. It was just odd line.
And then the whole thing with, like, Lois, like, she gets a call from Gendel's lawyer.
Yes.
And he's, like, setting up the meeting. She immediately goes and brags to Carol about it.
His lawyer, Densler. Do you know who that is?
I was going to say he does look familiar again, but I cannot place it.
It's gold, Jerry. It's gold.
Oh, of course, Seinfeld. How did I not know that guy was from Seinfeld?
Kenny Banya. Yep, it's Kenny Banya. That's who it is. As soon as I saw him, I was like, oh my gosh, it's him.
But yeah, Carol gets the one up on Lois. She's bragging about having this like super secretive meeting. And she swaps out a cell phone. I don't know. It was a bit weird for the Lois character, I think, just to be out there.
Oh, to brag about it? Yeah.
Yeah, just to blah blah about it and then have her cell phone switched out like right under her nose.
Exactly.
So ostensibly they now have a bug on Lois. And, they can follow to the meeting and everything. The NIA's on their butt. Clark manages to link Deathstroke's victims to Densler Incorporated, with Jimmy's help, of course. I wish they would do more with Jimmy.
Yeah.
We need that character to really come out of his shell and get recognized for the, nose for news.
Well, yeah, we did get a little bit of that, and they mentioned it in the back issues. There's a little bit about Jimmy's role here, so we'll talk about that later.
With this information, like, Superman goes after Lois, and then Deathstroke's there, so they battle it out. And, I don't know, Deathstroke kind of holds his own against Superman.
He does.
He actually, like, changes his body chemistry or something to do with the iron in the blood or something, but Superman has less iron, so it didn't affect him too badly.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know, he holds his own against Superman's super strength.
I do like the effects that they're using, though. I like his powers, the way they did his powers. I thought it was a neat way to doing it.
It's cartoony or even comic booky, right?
Yeah, very much.
They go through this whole thing about Carol having invented this polarity circle that sort of like charges up Bob, I guess, to keep his powers contained. He kind of has a few outbursts throughout the episodes too, where things sort of link towards him. It takes a long time for them to get to what the deal is with his powers, like what it's all about. And I don't know, you kind of think it's got something to do with magnetism. It turns out to be just all about magnetism. He's just super magnetic. That's it.
And there are magnetic bad guys in the DC universe. I don't know why they just didn't pick one of those names and go with that, but yeah, I'm just saying. There's options since he had magnetic powers. They didn't have to say that's Deathstroke or Death Grip. There could have been like one is Dr. Polaris or something like that has magnetic powers in the DC universe, I think. So like that could have worked, But there's some others too. I know.
Interesting. But then it all plays out, Lois goes to her meeting with Gandel. Bob and Carol follow. Clark finds out that Bob is actually a guy named Earl Greg.
I thought they said Earl Grey.
That's what I thought at first. I was like, seriously? His name's going to be Earl Grey?
I was like, when did Next Generation come out? Was that before this? Yeah, maybe they got it from there,
I'll take some tea, Earl Grey hot.
Exactly.
But yeah, pretty much like what they wanted to do was, because Gandel was a recluse, they figured they could just go in, kill him, pretend he's still alive, and siphon off his fortune, retire to Desert Island or whatever. And that was their plan, but, that's over and done with now.
Exactly.
Superman faces off with Deathstroke again, this time knowing that the suit contains his powers.
Well, and also, he's been told by Dr. Klein that if he doesn't give his cells time to repair, he might not win in a battle against Deathstroke again. So there's that a little bit of danger, too.
Yeah, but not really. Because he uses laser vision to tear the suit, and then the guy just becomes magnetic.
Yes.
Like, they make it sound like if he's not wearing the suit, he would just, friggin' explode or something.
That's what,
Atomic bomb level explosion or something. No, he just becomes super magnetic, so he's pinned against the wall and some pots and pans stick to him.
Yeah, and see, now that's something I was going to say. I was going to talk about this, too. When that was happening, first of all, I thought it was going to be a big explosion or something like that once the suit was ripped. Because there's a character in DC Comics. I think his name is Captain Atom, I think, or something I forget. But he has a suit that contains his power. And if that suit is damaged, he has to get out of there right quick, because all his energy, all his nuclear energy inside of his body will just come right out and destroy, that whole area like a nuclear explosion. So I was thinking it was going to be something like that. But no, instead, he's super magnetic and things go and hook up on him.
What a way to live! Whoa.
And what a weird ending for him. He's stuck to the wall. Things are flying towards him. I was seriously expecting a washer to come flying at him and smash him and he would die. That's what I was expecting, this tragic ending. But no, it's just some spoons and metal objects flying attached to his body. That's it. That's a sad ending for the character. And like I said, you feel bad for him because they do deserve some some money for the accident,
Yeah, exactly. If they'd won their lawsuit, none of this would have happened.
Right, exactly.
But whatever. And then Lois and Clark go on a double date with Gandel and his new girlfriend. And that's it.
Actually, that's something else that came up in the back issue. Someone said, Lois and Clark have 4 tickets to the the football game. They didn't think to maybe invite Perry and Jimmy, just they're friends, instead they'll go with Gandel and his new little, arm candy there.
That's true, because by the end, Jimmy and Perry had broken up with the girls that they had been seeing. So.
Right.
But speaking of which, what is up with that? Perry and Jimmy's new flings.
Yeah, it's interesting. Jimmy's was the worst. Oh.
Aurora.
Yeah. I mean, Perry's didn't seem so bad. I mean, yeah, it's a different type of thing. That Lois and Clark aren't really into the same thing as Perry and his girl, but
she was a pro bowler and former Miss Farm Belt USA named Candy.
See, Clark might have something in common there, He comes from Kansas, Smallville. But yeah, the whole rave in the sewer thing, it's definitely not Lois and Clark.
He does make a reference to the mole people, though. That was kind of funny.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
Lois also has a new haircut. Aurora points that out.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I forgot. I knew she went short in the earlier seasons that we had, but I forgot that she went back to short here. I was like, oh, look at that.
Yeah, I just thought it was funny. She goes, I like your haircut. And Lois just goes,
right.
Well, after being on wanted posters and stuff, I felt like a change was necessary. I'm just like, weird. Okay.
Then finally we have the continuous talk throughout the whole episode about Alanis Morissette's song, Ironic, and how it isn't ironic.
Oh man, as soon as they brought it up, they're just like, have you heard that song? And it's like they don't want to like say that it's a terrible song.
Right, exactly.
Because like Bob's like, we like it, but the lyrics don't really make any sense.
Right. But that's this time period, like they've discussed that, and like I've seen that in another show too, talking about that song. I forget where, but they're like, that's not ironic, it's just unfortunate.
People have been talking about this since the song came out.
Exactly.
Yes, it's a song about irony. No, it's not an ironic song, and that in itself is ironic. We get it. Jeez. But yeah, no, as soon as they were just like, oh, that new song, have you heard it? Yeah. Black Fly and the Chardonnay? Like, that's not ironic. I'm like, oh my God, seriously, this has just pinned this show firmly in the mid-90s.
Yes, definitely.
I got a good laugh out of it, though, so that's pretty fun.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you were right about Bob and Carol.
Yep. But you busted him. So we're even.
Love.
What a waste.
Yeah, tell me about it.
You guys okay?
Oh, Candy dumped me like yesterday's rice.
Aurora's moving to Beirut.
Well, I guess we won't be double dating anytime soon.
Well, to tell you the truth, Chief, I think our double dating days are...
Miss Lane.
Mr. Gandel.
Just came by to thank you for reintroducing me to the world. And I was kind of wondering whether you and your husband would like to join my new friend Connie and me for dinner.
Oh, thanks, but we're not going to do
We'd love to.
We would?
Well, of course you would. Take it from me. Get out, take a few risks, live.
Exactly.
Well, all right then, sure.
Say, have you heard this song about the fly in some girl's Chardonnay? Now, unless they rewrote the dictionary, I see nothing ironic about that. However, a recluse who finally decides to come out of hiding on the very day he's almost killed?
That's ironic.
All right, well, let's check out some back issues.
For the first episode here, people were glad, so glad that Lois and Clark are just back together. They're just so overjoyed. Like, this was a couple posts. They're just so glad that they're allowed to be together again. And they said, I love these 2 episodes. And I'm just like, really? Come on, there's so many better stories they could tell as a couple than this, this plot hole filled mess that we saw. But they're like, I hope these 2 episodes serve as a template for the episodes going forward of why the adventures of 2 married people are worth watching. I was like, oh God, come on, people, really? No.
I know, the show has been and could still be a lot more than these last 2 episodes.
Yes. And there's a lot of people who are like, they like Lois acting all weird and talking a lot and like being silly and the way she was in the episode. I was like, all right, whatever. They also liked, they said Lane Smith was amazing. He wasn't in there a whole lot, but what he did do, they were like, wow, that was really, really good.
That was actually really good. When he goes up to Clark and he's like, you need to believe me, son, I did not testify against Lois. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. Just some acting. Yeah, bring those acting chops, Lane Smith. All right.
And then for the second one, for Bob and Carol, someone said it makes them feel all waffy. And I think that meant like good, I guess. I don't know. It said, makes me feel all waffy. It's like the perfect blend of action, suspense, romance, humor. It was a good mix. And they want the writers of the Bob and Carol one to write all the episodes because it was just so much fun.
I mean, I'll give it to them. It was a bit of fun, but there's a lot of like, in there as well.
Yeah. They like Klein drinking, like we said. And they really thought that the contrasting the 2 couples was a good idea, showing the similarities and the differences, between Lois and Clark and Bob and Carol, and how they have similar lifestyles, just like with a slight twist. One's more towards the good, one's more towards the bad.
Yeah.
And then they didn't like Carol very much, especially at the end when she has her big rage fit, like when she's yelling at Gandel in the little room there. And they said it wasn't convincing. Like, she just seemed way over the top, and that Bob was not the greatest actor in the world either. So that's that Antonio Sabato Jr.
Yeah, man, give it up for Antonio Sabato Jr.
And then finally they said in this episode it was good that they sort of gave Jimmy a chance to try and solve the crime. Like he sort of had a chance to do what Lois and Clark did. You know, he's like, I've seen you guys do this. He's doing this because such and such. And like he didn't. It was nice try, Jimmy, but you know, take some time.
Like I said, we need more Jimmy. We need character progression for Jimmy, please.
We do.
That'd be great. All right. So our next issue, we'll be talking about ghosts and stop the presses.
All right, now ghosts. I kind of got spoiled a little bit. Again, from the Superman homepage.
Well, don't give too much away.
Yeah, they have a little blurb at the bottom, and there's a special guest star coming up in that episode. Actually, 2 special guest stars from another sitcom. So a pretty popular late 90s sitcom, I think it was.
Well, I wouldn't put it past them to have this episode actually be about proper ghosts.
Oh, it is. It is about proper ghosts. So we're going with a proper ghost thing, but well, you'll see very quickly. You'll know who the guest stars are. Definitely, they were pretty big back in the 90s. They're still. I mean, the one is still pretty popular.
Well, and stop the presses. I mean, that's just kind of ambiguous. I don't know. Maybe
something
the
about the Daily
gets
Planet
shut down for some reason.
Right. Yeah. Something's going to go on there. Wasn't there? Oh wait, no, we already did that episode where they were digging. Yeah,
could be anything.
Yeah, it could be anything, but I'm guessing it's going to be something happening in the actual Daily Planet will be the main story. Well, whatever it is, we'll find out next week because that's it for this issue of the Rewatch Podcast.
Keep up with listener interaction by liking our Facebook page at facebook.com/Rewatch Podcast or facebook.com/Lois and Clark Rewatch. Don't forget you can follow the show on Twitter at Rewatch Pod or visit our webpage at rewatchpodcast.podomac.com, which has links to some of our favorite sites there, such as zoomway.net, the folc.wiki.com, and the supermanhomepage.com, plus links to our archive of film rewatch episodes.
Yes, and as always, you can write us an email or record a voice message and send it to the rewatchpodcast@gmail.com. Also, if you've enjoyed the show, please consider giving us a rate and review on iTunes. And if you really want to go above and beyond, you can help support the Rewatch Podcast by heading over to patreon.com/rewatchpodcast and make a monthly contribution as little as $1. And of course, our entire back catalogue is on YouTube, so you can search Rewatch Podcast and subscribe today. All right, as always, thank you for joining me for these 2 episodes, Tom.
Yep.
And I will just say until next time, I've got to get to this party in the subway tunnels.
We gotta fly.
The Rewatch Podcast is not associated with Warner Brothers Television, ABC, Gangbuster Films Incorporated, or Roundelay Productions.
Don't believe everything you see on TV.
The use of any and all copyrighted material is only for parody, news analysis, critique, or educational purposes as provided in United States Code Title 17, aka Fair Use.
Let's get legal on this.
Music provided by Kevin McCloud at incompetech.com.
Great shades of Elvis.
Copyright 2017, The Rewatch Podcast.
Wear your beepers. We'll be in touch.
An old man turned 98. He won the lottery and died the next day. It's a black fly in your Chardonnay. It's a death row pardon, 2 minutes too late. And isn't it ironic?